Hello and welcome to the NHL Best Bets. Yesterday picks what we made were 1-1. So first one, New York Rangers visited their local rival in Long Island. New York Islanders was 100% better than Rangers this time, 6-1. Clear game. Much better performance for Islanders than for the Rangers, and maybe a bit bigger victory than we expected. Then other game, Carolina-Tampa. This time Carolina bounced back. They won as a road underdog, defending Stanley Cup champion Tampa, and show that they are a competitive team this year. Could be deep playoff run for them if they play like they did yesterday. Unfortunately, only 5 goals. Carolina won 4-1. A few pipe shots bounced the wrong direction, and we had a miss in this total bet. Tommy, what's your take out of these games?
I think Islanders scored a couple of goals that Tampa should have scored. So in New York, it was not expected to be as one-sided as it was. A lot closer was the idea of this game, but Islanders was so much better team that there was no chance for Rangers. Early on already, Islanders showed that they came to play and win this game. So it was a good pick, pretty much as we predicted how the style of the play went. So Islanders managed to cut the offense of Rangers early on and they couldn't go anywhere. So exactly as we predicted in that sense. In the other game, Tampa Bay was a little bit not as good as in the previous game. We were expecting them to score more than 2 goals this time. They could only score 1. Of course, there was also the better goalkeeper for Tampa Bay in the goal. He did still allow 3 goals, the last one in the empty net, but it was a 1-goal game for the over also, so could have easily been Tampa Bay scoring 2 more, or Carolina also had chances to score in the first period, maybe a goal or 2. So this time it went under, but I do think with the style these teams play, it is a good team to bet over when the value is there, when it's around that 100 line that we saw yesterday.
Yeah, overall amount of shots 63. So with let's say average goalies, it would go for 6 goals, but this time Carolina's Nedeljkovic was pretty good, and he stopped all but one Tampa Bay shots. That hasn't been the case in many times this season.
Yeah, the result was a good one for Carolina, and it was good to see that they were able to learn from their mistakes in the previous game, which Tampa won after the regulation. So now Carolina showed that they can beat the reigning champions, which only adds excitement to that division, and of course the likely pairing in the playoffs as well. So let's see how these teams match up in the future.
How about overall our predictions last night? How the machine was performing in side value and total bets?
Actually, not very well in side value this time. It was a tough round. It was minus 279 altogether from these games. There was a lot of favorites winning with lousy odds, so the machine did not have the value. And in those, the money line plus 92 from all games, so only 2 incorrect picks last night from the money line side, which is always an indication that the favorites are winning, and that's something that the machine does not much like when the odds are very bad. But in the totals as well, it was a positive night. Only 3 games were incorrect and every other pick right. So we had how many games was there? 8 games and 5 correct. So a little bit of profit there from the totals, which is a good result after a couple of days, a little bit deficit in that department.
One of the most interesting games at the end was Pittsburgh, New Jersey, that resulted 7-6 after Pittsburgh was leading 6-0 in 2 periods. So what happened there?
for a Finnish person, this brings in flashbacks from certain Finland-Sweden game back in the day. But let's not go into that because we might start crying. But there was something about letting the gas a little bit the feet off the gas there. Of course, 6-0 after 2 periods. It's a situation that no team probably will climb back from. So Penguins did play like a veteran team and let the other team come close and then snatch the candy away. So they did win in the end. But no idea what happened there. Really, there was not a lot of not significant changes in the play. New Jersey just started scoring and never let go. So a good win for Penguins, but I do think that it was a little bit hard words from the head coach after that 2-point victory.
Yeah, I don't remember too many games where one team is scoring 6 goals in one period and still losing the game. So it was quite weird at the end that this kind of game was played.
Yeah, but it serves as a good example that game is never over until it's over. And also, even if you have a team that's pretty much given up the season, they still have something to play for because it is the NHL. So you don't go there and play half-heartedly if you are any sort of challenger or young guy in this league.
Another game in Central Division, Florida beat Columbus 5-1 and strengthen their position in top 3 in the division. One of the question mark was a goalie for the Florida. Guy called Spencer Knight was there, and he was so random guy to the goalie that even ESPN don't have any picture of him. That is a bit unheard of. So how do you see how this kind of goalies are coming from nowhere and stopping all shots in the games?
I don't think the guy is a young prospect who is a very promising guy. Shouldn't probably play in the NHL level yet. I'm not sure what's the plan with him. What Florida Panthers is going to do now? They have Bobrovsky, they have Drieger, and now they signed Spencer Knight, who was, I think, if not a first round pick, but close by it. So there is some promise for sure, but nobody expected him to take any NHL starts yet. So I can understand there is no pictures, but talented guys like we saw with Boston, Swayson, what was his name? Jeremy Swayson played really well when he came in. Capitals have done well with Vitek Vanecek, who was supposed to be maybe third string goalkeeper. So there is a lot of talent there, especially now a lot of European goaltenders. So there is a good mix of different styles. And of course, when you have the youth leagues in Canada who are producing talent all the time, the goaltenders will just step up, and especially for few starts always seem to be the mans of the match. So let's see how it goes in the long run with these younger guys. But so far, they've been impressive this season.
Yeah, this Mr. Knight was a first-round pick by Florida 2 years ago in the draft. So he's maybe there waiting to be number 1 when Bobrovsky's contract is over. But 97.1% saving percentage so far in NHL, so maybe it's time to retire with high numbers.
Yeah, or be sent to AHL or somewhere, so you get this good record. But it's a good start for a young goaltender. You always need a good start. It's easier now to play the games, and yeah, I'm sure he has a bright future, be it in Florida or somewhere else. But he was just signed, so. I think Florida has a long-term plan here.
Let's see how far that goes. But first we go for tonight's game, and there's only 4 games on schedule tonight. Montreal, Edmonton. We think Edmonton is better team. Montreal is usually overvalued by the bookmakers, and this time as well. Home team has good value for odds minus 125. Edmonton has been playing okay. They maybe have capacity in offense to squeeze a few more goals, but recently they won Montreal in the first first game of this series, and then they also won Winnipeg and Ottawa twice. on the road. Only lost within last 5 games is against Calgary. That they lost 5-0, maybe one kind of off night for them. And at the same time, Canadiens have won only Calgary and Toronto at home. Now they are on long road trip, and this is second game for them. So good value for home team in Alberta. And then a few nights ago, we had under for Nashville-Chicago game. That time it was in Nashville. Tommy, I remember you said that you would bet this 100 out of 100 times, so now it's second out of 100, and let's see what kind of result there is. But at least the simulation provides good value for under 5.5 goals. Hopefully both goaltenders are in top form, and Chicago also have some kind of defense on the ice, because last game it wasn't there. Nashville has defense deep in their DNA, so we don't expect Chicago to score too many goals in this game.
Yeah, not much has changed since that missed pick that went over, but that was due to Chicago's lousy defense, and also Nashville was a little bit more productive than we expected. So yeah, second time playing with plus 100 odds, so we already make a profit if this hits, because we have the margins on our side. So in the simulations, this game is still 63% going under 5.5 goals. So a great value there. Both teams have good goaltenders, not so proficient offensive players, and also both teams play through the defense. So similar basis on this as was last time. Nashville is a better team. Now they play on the road. Chicago gets to play at home. Maybe they are trying a little bit, play a little bit tighter now than they did last time. They allowed a couple of easy goals. So I think this is still a clear under. And like I said, I would make this bet any day with these odds when these goaltenders play. I think it's Malcolm Subban for Chicago, but be it Kevin Lankinen or him, both have played well, so no fault there. Same thing for Nashville. Juuse Saros likely to start, but if it's Pekkarinen, still a great goaltender, and I don't think the goaltenders will be at fault if this pick is missed. Something else might be, but let's hope not. And in Edmonton, this is one of our picks of the year. Edmonton against Montreal. We have preferred Edmonton all season long, along with Winnipeg Jets. We have not preferred Montreal Canadiens or Calgary Flames, which is both well. So this is purely a pick from the system that states that Edmonton is a better team than Montreal. 64% in the simulations are for Oilers, while the odds were 125 minus, so around 57% or 52.5%. So there is a great value for the home team in this repetition game. The first one, Edmonton took 4-1 quite easily. They outshot Montreal 36-27. They were better in every aspect of the game. It took them a while to get their game going. Only scored 4 goals in the last period, but still I do think that they continue their strike from here, and Canadiens are not a match for Edmonton's offense. And if Canadiens play as they should through the defense, very defensively, I do think that Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl will cause havoc anyway. So I'm not sure if it's going to be 7-1 or 2-1, but Edmonton is likely to win this game.
If you go back to the Nashville-Chicago game in Central Division, that is some kind of a 4-point game, because Nashville is now on 4th in the standings, and they have 2 games more than Dallas, that is 1 point behind them, and Chicago is lurking outside a bit more clearer. They are 4 points behind Nashville and 1 game less played. So do you think if Nashville wins this game, it would be game over for Chicago's playoff hopes?
Like we saw in Pittsburgh, New Jersey, never say never as long as there is hockey to be played, but it gets extremely hard after if the point difference is more than 3 games winning. So I don't think Chicago is able to gather in 10 games enough points to beat Nashville if they lose this one. But if they win, they're right at there in the same sector with these two teams. So it will be a tough matchup. But I do think Nashville is trending a little bit better. They played at this moment when it matters. They've played well. So I think it's between Nashville and Dallas to decide who goes to the playoffs in the fourth place of this division.
Yeah, I fully agree with you because when we check the Chicago's schedule onwards, they have this and then following game against Nashville. They play against Tampa, twice against Florida, and 3 times against Carolina. So it cannot be too much tougher schedule for them. And then there's 2 games against Dallas at the end, but I don't think those games would make any difference anymore. But Chicago is out of the playoffs, and it's Nashville or Dallas who are then fighting for the last spot.
Yeah, it might be important for Dallas, those last 2 games against Chicago, if they're fighting still with Nashville. So it might be a get out of jail free card type of situation for Dallas if they get to face a team that has no chances. I'm not sure who Nashville is playing in the last round, so it might be easier for them as well.
Yeah, these are interesting times because now the real matchups for the final playoff positions are clarifying, and naturally some divisions it's more clearer than others, but it's the speculation time, and later this week we'll take a bit look of our season futures where we can then discuss more about the probabilities to reach playoffs or win the division.
Yeah, I do think there was already a team, was it Colorado, that clinched the certain playoff spot already, or was it after 1 win? But anyway, it will be close now that these differences are starting to show properly. Maybe Vegas is the one that will clinch it first, not the first spot, of course, but the at least the 4th spot in the league, in the division, I mean. But let's see about that in the future section.
Yeah. Speaking about Vegas, they are hosting San Jose tonight. Not too much value for either team, but do you think betting under would make sense here? Because Vegas has been quite stingy to give goals for their opponents, but they have struggles for the goal scoring as well.
Yeah, I do like Vegas for the unders in general, but this time they're facing San Jose, who's been so up and down that it's impossible to say if they're gonna score 2 goals or allow 7 goals. So this is a game that I would bet under if it was Vegas against almost any other team in the league, but against San Jose, not so sure. In the simulation, 61% going under, so there is good value for that, but it's a bit of a question mark for me because of San Jose, not so much because of Vegas.
Yeah, I think recently San Jose hasn't have gone any up because they have lost 6 games in a row and 7 out of last 8, while Vegas has found their stride by beating these bit lower class teams, Arizona, LA and Anaheim twice, and then last game San Jose in shootout. So different directions for these teams, and because San Jose can say goodbye to the playoffs if there's no more effort by them.
Yeah, that's all about St. Louis now and Arizona, how they're gonna play. I don't think San Jose has any chance to break those two. It's very close between Arizona and St. Louis. St. Louis is chasing, but they do have a little bit less games played. So interesting division there as well. In the West, a little bit surprising maybe. We thought that would be quite clear, but Minnesota has been the surprise team that has taken St. Louis away from that top 3. So 3 spots are pretty clear: Vegas, Colorado, and Minnesota. But then the rest is up to Arizona and St. Louis. And let's say that if San Jose beat Vegas tonight, I give them some portion of a % chance to reach the playoffs.
Let's see how the percentages are converting to the goals in tonight's games, and tomorrow we'll be back. New night, new games.
See you tomorrow.